You know the power, them couple of hours. Time for the Real HD show. Let's have a higher discussion. Let's go. Welcome to the Real HD show. I'm your host, Vic. We are set and tapped in for one more glorious ride on a hump day. I hope everybody's safe. Hope everybody's doing well. You know what I mean? We're upstate New York. This weather is going bananas. 1 minute is sunny, looking like it's real nice. The next minute is coming down like crazy. I guess this is March up in the rock. Never fear. We're going to have a high discussion here. I'm your host, Vic, VICT, the victorious one. Welcome to the Real HD show, where you're going to find the good, the bad, and the ugly of our culture solved through freedom music. And when is freedom music? Freedom music happens 7:30 to 8 o'clock, where you can get backstage. You can get the call letters of the show. You can tap in and you can get involved with some really soulful music, some hip hop soul, some conscious, some political music, some things that put a battery in your back and keep you going outside of everybody and everything that may be causing you some issues. You can get some woo-sa from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. You know what I mean? We were playing Khalees with Raphael Sadiq. We were playing Nas, I Know I Can. We were playing Brand Nubian, Don't Let It Go to Your Head. We were playing Lil Baby, the song he did during the protest season. We was rocking, man. We was doing some great things, man. So tune in for that, right? And also bring 5 people to the Real HD show, courtesy of yourself, and receive a vacation voucher for a 3-night, 4-day stay at a U.S. destination or Caribbean destination near you of your choosing. We just need you to bring 5 people. Now, I know it says Michigan or college football, so you may not know what that's about. That's basically applies to all the shows on the station. We'll have that taken care of so that it's clear. Like, share, and subscribe to the show. Comment, turn on all your notifications, subscribe. We need to get the likes up, everybody, for real. I've been on a couple of years now. I've been bringing you guys really, really dope content, stuff that you wouldn't normally get from anywhere else. Please like the show, subscribe to the show, comment the show, and turn on notifications. Total Package Energy, please. Melanated company, Olympic tested, people approved, to help you through that 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock crash when your sugar's low, when you need that pick me up because you got a whole social family dynamic happening after work and you got to finish out that day strong. They got powders, liquids, juices, gels, all natural. Go mob them out. Go check out their website. Tell them that the Real HD show sent you. Total Package Energy. And also, please give to the Real HD show and our sync license fundraiser. That's right. Through Cash App, you can hit $ the Real HD show. We like the twos and fews, but we rather have the kind that folds. So that means 20s, 50s, and 100s. Please donate. We'll be checking after the show. After the week, I usually check and see what our Cash Apps are. We had a few last show. We had a few last week. Please give generously. It goes to improving the shows and putting on all these great shows that you're going to find coming up on the Real HD show. And if you would like to participate, host, be a technical producer or anything of that kind, please contact Vic7 at gmx.com, Vic7 at gmx.com, and we could talk about it. Email me, we could talk about it. We can set you up a show, or you can help out with shows that are currently going on. Um, Let me know at home if you hear me good. If you hear me good, put a thumbs up in the chat, or give me a high five, or put a one in the chat. Give me something affirmative to let me know that you hear me clearly. I believe you do. Let me check my sound really quick to see if I'm bouncing. Yeah, I'm bouncing. So that's good. And one of the things that I'm really sensitive about is whether I'm bouncing too loud. I don't want to overwhelm the mic or overwhelm you guys. I want to have a higher discussion. And we're here for this tonight, the Great Vote Hustle. Lot to do, lot to get to, lot to go through. And here are the call letters for the show. And we'll have those up for a few. And yeah, I hope you like the little joke at the bottom. Bitch might have my votes. I trade stocks. This is just my side hustle. Yeah, man. So you see the Capitol building, and you see, the underbelly, and then you see these people who represent the white underbelly, if you will, of American politics. And everybody's taking sides and being real polar about it right now. And they really don't need to, because there's neither side is really healthy at this point. Neither side is really doing what they need to do. And in a matter of factual way, they are really representing the criminal underbelly of the country as well. But we'll get to it. We'll do it. We are the Real HD Show. We appreciate you coming through. We're blasting off 5 Facebook channels. We're blasting off the YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Mobcrush, Delo Live, Trovo Nation. Those are all alternative social media sites that kind of go all over the world. Sometimes we get people in from Russia. Sometimes we get people in from the Ukraine. Sometimes we get people in from London. We even got somebody in from Greece one time, and they had something to say. So please, the floor is open. Get in here, make comments on what you hear and what you see. We take them all blind, crippling, crazy. We want our people first. We want to hear from y'all. We want to make sure that we get it live and locked in with our folks first. We are the Real HD Show. All right. So, like always, we always jump first into our elders and ancestors blueprint, right? And it helps us navigate through a crazy world. And it helps remind us that we don't always have to reinvent the wheel. We can look to our ancestors in the past, or our elders, and what they've accomplished and what they laid, the path that they laid out, and we can use those things and improve on those things so that we can be better, bigger, and more developed moving forward. So tonight we're going to get into something that's a little bit different, and I think it's in spirit with, in alignment with all of the immigrant stuff that everybody's talking about. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Afro Mexicans, one of the forgotten populations in the world. And we're going to check them out. It's about a 3-minute video, Real HD Show, Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. Let's go. right. So that was our elders and ancestors blueprint about Afro Mexicanos. And that was the Real HD show, Elders and Ancestors Blueprint. What do y'all think, man? Did y'all get are y'all hip to that real quick? Y'all aware of that right now going on? They said 2 million people down in Mexico that are Afro Mexican that that's like a forgotten part of the culture. And if you tuned into the show in times past, episodes past, you would have found out that there was a Mexican Underground Railroad situation happening where you went through Mississippi, Texas, all the way down into Mexico, California, all the way down into Mexico. And that was another outlet for people who were suffering in bondage during the antebellum South slavery days. Um, and they found their way into Mexico. And these are the remnants, these are the descendants of those people. And some people look like us. Some dime pieces down there, some beautiful melanated brothers and sisters. And we don't blame them when they if some of them cross the border and they trying to seek refuge and get out of a bad situation in Mesoamerica. Um, One of the dopest civilizations that was a South American Mesoamerica situation was the Colombos, and they had an entire kingdom, and they used to really, and this is during the colonial period. They couldn't be touched. And I believe they were in either Colombia. Yeah, I believe they were in Colombia. Yep, either Brazil or Colombia. And the Colombos were led by Genghis. I believe that was the brother's name, and he was a fierce warrior who fought off a lot of colonial powers to maintain their own structure, maintain their own land, their own rights, their own civilization. They had their own kingdom that thrived for many decades, had many successors, and we can't sleep on those folks. We gotta embrace it as it comes, try to handle it, try to move on, and try to make the best of it. Let us know where you coming from with that. We are the Real HD Show. And that's just setting the tone for tonight's show. Because again, tonight's show is about the great vote hustle. Um, and a lot of the what's going on with the immigrants coming into the country. Some of them they want to create all kind of lexicon and terms for them, but they're coming over from other places, migrants, whatever term you want to give them. They're not originally from here, but they want to be here. And instead of it being a maintained, managed situation where they come into the country, they're just opening the floodgates, and thousands of people are coming in here per day, and they're making an untenable situation. And also because a lot of the major cities are sanctuary cities, the southern states that don't want these people are busing them and shipping them all to the city states. And the city states like New York, Chicago, California, all the major cities are being overwhelmed with the folks. And we'll talk about why that is and what that is. But before we do that, we're going to do a segment that we haven't done in the show a while. And that's our melody. That's right. We're in a melanated mental health moment on the Real HD Show. And it's going to feature none other than Riza Islam. And I know last time I wasn't able to get the Riza Islam video up, but I am this time around. And we're going to enjoy what this brother has to say, because this brother is dropping bombs. This brother is doing some really, fire stuff that we're going to find out is really important. And he's going to talk about some of the origins or some of the dark sides of mental health. And this will also serve as our Healthy, Wealthier, and Wiser AAT report, kind of a mash up, smash up on the Real HD Show. Let's get it. Brother Riza Islam might be a doctor at this point, but the brother is brilliant nonetheless. Let's check him out. Real HD Show.
Disease. Now, let's also remember this. When people say mental disease, because that's what it used to be called, then it transferred into mental disorder and or mental illness. I want you to be very critical when hearing these terms: mental disorder, mental disease, mental illness. In order for you to say disease or illness, there has to be something that can be measured or tested to determine a biological reality. There's something there, some bacteria, virus, something that's in the body that you can measure and you can see it in a lab, right? You can see it in a lab test. There is no such thing as a depression virus, for example. So Benjamin Rush said black people have a mental disease called negritude. It causes their skin to be dark. It is a
Wow. There's more to that. Go on YouTube and you can get the rest of that. But can you imagine someone saying that you have negritude and that is some sort of disease? Well, that reminds me of Hoffman. Hoffman was a turn of the 20th century um, insurance keynote speaker and legislator. And it was during part of the eugenics movement. And he was going to, he wrote a lot of papers, a lot of dissertations, and did a lot of orating on not giving melanated people at the time in the country health insurance. And with that, he hoped that our folks would die off because we couldn't have health insurance. We couldn't afford health insurance. And so either if you had some bread, like let's say you went in the army and you had a little bit of money and you can afford it, they wouldn't give it to you. And if you qualified for it or you were in some sort of exception program, they wouldn't give it to you on the onus of Hoffman. And that was one of the eugenics programs of the early 20th century where he hoped that a lot of us would just get wiped out because we couldn't reach the health outcomes. Now, what Riza Islam is detailing is he's detailing some of the eugenics practices and some of the racism practices that were of the time that people just bought into hook, line, and sinker and believed it wholeheartedly, right? And maybe we can go back to that scene in Django where Candy was talking about the medulla oblongata on black people. And he was making all of these like gross estimates of what black people were capable of doing because of the size or lack thereof of our medulla oblongata. And we couldn't be smart, we couldn't be intelligent, we couldn't do cognitive things because of the prevailing science of the time. Well, we proved that wrong. We proved Hoffman wrong, and we proved the medical professional that Riza Islam was talking about. There was no such thing as negritude. You know, we just had melanin in our skin. That was a blessing and not something to be ashamed of. So shout out to Riza Islam. Go on YouTube. I believe the full video is about 5 minutes. We couldn't afford to show all of it because we have so much that we have to get to throughout the course of the show. So we thought we'd give you like a little teaser on that, and then we can move on to bigger and other things. We're gonna jump real quick into our Lit City Report because our Lit City Report is kind of interesting. So what is the Lit City Report? The Lit City Report is the wild, the wacky, the wonderful things that keep our world going round. Because we come with a lot of, sometimes these stories can be pretty negative, pretty off-putting, but the Lit City Report gives you a different frame It provides a little bit of levity, and we have it here for you tonight. All right, here we go. So, our Lit City report tonight is about the return of the Good Time Show. Just looking out of the window, watching the asphalt grow. Right? That classic show. Thelma, JJ, Michael, Florida, James. Damn, damn, damn. Well, it's returning as a cartoon or an anime series. And at first, I thought that was positive because it allows us to take in um, what that series was all about. And that series was it was before the Jeffersons, it was before Martin, it was before all of the shows that were so instrumental in the entertainment landscape of America. And this is what it looks like. This is a first look at the new Good Times. So it says, where's Florida? There's no Florida. There's no James. There's no JJ. There's no Michael. There's no Willona. Why even call this a reboot? Why even invoke the Good Times name? I'm confused. This could have just been a new cartoon. Yes or no? Um, and oh, we got a comment. Let's see what the comment is about. Classic. Yeah, bro. You see it. Um, we all grew up on Good Times. We remember what it was about. The elevator scene with Penny and Penny getting burned by the iron from her mother being, you know, dysfunctional and abusive. But this is the buffoonery that they got replacing the classic TV series that we all grew up on, that is in TV, that is a TV legend at this point. And we talked about James almost in our mental health moment last week, because he was going through like elder abuse, where his kids and the people that were taking care of him were abusing him, and he's an elder. He's damn near in his 80s. And he's at the age where he needs that care, and I don't think he's hospice, but he needs care, and he wasn't getting it. But this is now, look what they did with his timeless piece of work. And I think we can all agree that Good Times wasn't the same when James was let go from the show. James gave you that fire, that thunder, that Ogun spirit, that discipline that black men put into their households. And this is how Netflix is envisioning the Good Times series to be. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a modern version of it, but James Evans wasn't fat. He wasn't an out of shape man at all. Matter of fact, he was kind of brolic. He was kind of like large and in charge. Nobody really wanted no smoke with James Evans. You know what I'm saying? And he took care of his family with that kind of lion type of attitude. And this is what, a lot of the leave it up to certain creators. I don't know who is the creators of this, but Netflix green lighted this animated version of the show. And I know there has to be like some embellishment, and there has to be some poetic license put into what the show is going to be, since it's an anime. But this, Florida Evans got blonde hair. So to me, I guess this is some sort of like, multiverse version of, Good Times in like Earth 19 or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Where James Evans is fat, Florida is fine with blonde hair, JJ got locks, Thelma, I don't know what Thelma doing. Where's Thelma? I don't even see Thelma. Where's Michael? I don't know who's Michael. It seemed like they got two boys in this one. It's really weird. If they're gonna mess it up like this, just leave it alone. Call this cartoon something brand new. Let it rock out on its own merit. Let it do like that. And the reason why I'm showing it is not because um I just want to like be critical of it, but yeah, I do. But one of the reasons that I'm showing it is I want us to be aware of what we supporting. What are we going to support with our time, with our energy, with our viewership, with our money. Because of course those streaming services aren't cheap. You have to pay for Netflix. You have to pay for the things that you get involved with on them TVs and them apps. They're not cheap. I just got hit with an Amazon bill today for like $20 for something that my kids ordered back in, during the holidays. You know what I mean? And I ain't even remember that we ordered it. You know what I'm saying? So now I gotta take that little subscription off and do what that. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be careful what we're investing our time in. If Brother Mozzie was here, he would saying we're watching Channel Zero, which is true. But um, listen, now I'm not absent them doing some really dope stuff with the classic shows if they do it right. But if they goof it off and they do it wrong and they mess it all up, then yo, dude, just leave it alone. Like, don't even mess with it. You know what I'm saying? Just buy the catalog and show the real show. You know what I'm saying? And keep it at that. You know what I'm saying? Let's see Pro Black Michael. Let's see Fine Thelma. Let's see JJ getting away with everything in the hood. Let's see James putting it down. Let's see Florida Evans holding it all together. Let's see what it was really about and the real struggles of what, melanated people in Chicago was dealing with in the late 60s, early 70s. And let's keep it a whole funky buck. You know what I mean? So, hey, we got a comment. Let's see what's popping. We shouldn't watch it if it's nonsense. I'm with you, Adaris Fett. I'm with you 1000%. You know what I mean? It's looking like some real coon. It's looking like some real, what's the thing? What's the 1905 movie? Oh shoot, with all of the stereotypes. It's just looking real stereotypical, really real buffoonish, real out of sorts. You know what I mean? It looked like something Spike Lee would put as a spoof in one of his movies to prove a point. You know what I mean? And that's not something you want your kids looking at. That if you're an Xer and you got grandkids, that's not something you want your grandkids filling in their head. You can't get that time back. You know what I mean? You can't get that time back. So, we moving on. We keeping it strong. We moving on. Um, so we talking about this right here tonight. The Great Vote Hustle 2024. I trade stocks. This is just my side hustle. Bish better have my votes. And it got the whole nation polarized. You're a Trumper, you're a Biden, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. I'm not asking you to follow what I do because I'm not for neither of them joints. I'm for breaking the wheel. I'm on my Game of Thrones. Let's break the wheel. I'm on my, Mother of Dragons. Let's break the wheel. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been time for a lot of reform. It's been time for a lot of constitutional changes. It's been time for a lot of voter education and civic education. And they're not even teaching that in schools. And I'm a teacher. I'm an actual teacher right now. I'm not teaching civics. I'm not teaching about in-depth information about the electoral system and all of the different, flows and flavors of it. But Charles Barkley wants to do something. What does Charles want to do? Check Charles out. Barkley tears into Biden and Dems, saying they only care about black people every 4 years. Charles Barkley says in an interview in his new political series on with Gayle King called King Charles, he says he's gonna punch black people in the face who mess with Trump. That's what he said. He gonna punch people in the face. Now, is he being a little tongue in cheek? Probably. I mean, if you've seen him, the man is 6'6", damn near 300 pounds. Pretty looming, pretty big dude and pretty looming. You know what I'm saying? I'm about 220, 225. So I know big dudes when I see him. So if he's saying some stuff like this, and he said he meant it, he doubled down on it. He said he meant it. So let's check this out. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth. Let's hear what Charles Barkley, $5 box, is talking about in terms of his political comings and goings. It's a real short clip. Real HD show. Check it out.
The Democratic Party and Mr. Biden, President Biden is losing black votes. They only care about black people every 4 years. They come into our neighborhoods and say, we're going to make stuff better. We're going to do this, do this, do this. And then finally, us black people are like, man, other than my ability to dunk a basketball, all my neighborhoods are still the same. Our schools are still the same. And that's why I think black people are leaving disappointed in the Democratic Party, because I ain't gonna lie, I voted Democratic every time just because I thought it was gonna help black people and poor people. Because black people and poor white people, they're in the same boat.
The notorious NBA great argued that progressives only visit neighborhoods and make empty promises to win votes. He's not wrong about that. He's not wrong about that. Um, there's a lot of people on the Trump side of things saying certain things about they're gonna go on to the right, and they're gonna, there's a lot of people, still out of Democrats saying what they want to do. And first of all, I want to talk about, why does he have a political platform like that? Who is he? How is he so ingratiated in politics where he gets his own platform as an entertainer, no less, talking about politics? You know what I mean? Now, if you gave Sidney Poitier or you gave Harry Belafonte when they were still living, and you gave them a political platform, well, they were immersed in it. They helped out the civil rights movement by donating money, by um, you know, galvanizing people to support civil rights, all that type of stuff. They put it down to earn that platform. But this dude is on TNT and TBS every night talking about NBA basketball. How is he qualified to speak on politics other than being a celebrity? And why do we continue to allow, as people, why do we continue to allow celebrities to be the voice of our folks? I remember I was with some good friends, and we just graduated from college. We wanted to keep the hangout going, and we were all at a friend's house one night. My frat brother Will. Shout out to Will the Georges. Get on the show, bro. Let's hear from you. Right. And we were all at his house playing Madden and messing around when we were young. And we got into a huge political, Darius Fat remembers, we were talking about what we could do better, and if celebrities really wanted to help. And now you got stuff like Revolt, and the platform that Diddy allows, Killer Mike and all these other people that, get on and flap their gums about politics, and they're really not that informed. They're really not that, into what's going on with the electoral system. And we shouldn't let them represent melanated folks and their interests on a macro level. And we should just do it by not supporting the shows that they're on. Um, and let them put people like, Cornel West. Cornel West should have been had his own show. Tavis Smiley could have gave him a bigger platform. People that are really informed about the electoral process and steeped into Capitol Hill and the comings and goings of it and how it will reflect on us. Those should be the people that have their own shows and their own, vehicles to push the message of what we're trying to do as a people. But of course, there's reasons for that. There's reasons for why those things pop off. And staying on that same kind of, you know, political wave, right? Everybody's going crazy about this. Now, everybody knew that Beyonce. Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what the comment is. Let's see. Let's see what it is. Oh, Darius Fat. Let's go, bro. What you talking about? The problem is that we expect a political party to help us. We need to help ourselves. Take over a party and use the power to change our communities. All of the leaders in the community should and are black. I agree. Or form our own party, right? That's always my positioning. Let's get it. Let's break the wheel. Let's form a party to make the change that we want. Like Dave Chappelle said, let's give them some nigger lessons. Because whenever the country's in trouble, black people, come ride to the rescue with, with muscle, with blood, sweat, and tears and equity to balance out the country. And you may not believe that, but it's steeped in a lot of history. If you go back, I'm talking about Delmar Vesey. I'm talking about Martin Delaney. I'm talking about Ida B. Wells. I'm talking about mad folks who put it down and gave the nation a mental and health barometer on whether or not they were being just people, just Christians with the way that they chose to deal with folks. You know what I mean? So dope comment, brother. Keep it coming. Let's keep it popping. So it says Beyonce has revealed the official album artwork to her new album, Cowboy Carter. And she also shared a substantial note on her Renaissance follow-up. So this is the second album to the world tour that she had last year. This ain't a country album, she declared. This is a Beyonce album. The album has been over 5 years in the making. Now, everybody is going nutty. If they didn't go nutty over the whole cowboy vibe, right? They going nutty over Beyonce in the red, white, and blue. Oh, she's this. And wasn't she the one in the Super Bowl wearing a Black Panther outfit? Yeah, because she's a melanated woman, and that's part of our history. That's a dope part of our history. And so is this. You know what I mean? And, she's even flying the flag with the fringes on it. Huh. Let's get into that admiralty law and that maritime law, right? We're going to get into it. We're going to dig deep on that tonight. We're going to jump into it, right? But for everybody that doesn't think that Beyonce should be wearing the red, white, and blue and rocking it the way she is, she's from Texas. So she's from the South. That's her hometown. Her mom is from Texas. Her mom is from New Orleans. Her dad's from Alabama. They lived in Texas. She's a Texas gal. You know what I'm saying? So she grew up on all that country stuff. She grew up on the country music. She grew up on the country acculturation of it all, if you will. So she has a right to rock the red, white, and blue, just like anybody else. But, and of course, we've been here for 400 plus years, and we earned the right to rock the red, white, and blue, whether you believe it or not, right? So some people choose to, some people don't. That's your prerogative as a tax-paying person in the country. If she wants to rock the red, white, and blue, that's up to her. But a lot of people would say that she doesn't have the right to do it. Like, it's not in our history. We don't have a historical claim to doing it. Not so fast, my friends. Right now, we're going to jump into the stolen legacy moment on the Real HD Show. And we're going to talk about Grace Wisher, a sister who had a lot to do with the American flag. Here we go. Check this video out. It's quick, but it's informative. Gracie Wisher on the Real HD Show. Where are you? Come on, Vid. Show you. Okay, there, I got it. It's about 2 minutes. Bear with us. We can come back and have a higher discussion about it. Here we go. Gracie Wisher, Real HD Show. Stolen legacy moment. Here we go.
And now, here's your Black History Minute. Grace Wisher was the daughter of a mother who was too poor to support her children. So Grace was placed in an apprenticeship with Mary Pickersgill at the age of 10. In return for teaching Grace a trade, Pickersgill gained a servant, aka a slave, for 6 years. Mary Pickersgill became famous for having made the American flag, but did she actually make the flag herself, or did she get help? The United States and Britain had a beef going on where Britain eventually declared war on the U.S. The U.S. Army commander at that time, George Armistead, wanted to send a strong message that America was going to defend its harbors, and one way to do it was by putting up an oversized American flag. George contacted Pickersgill to create a flag that measured 30 by 42 feet with 15 stars and 15 stripes, each stripe representing a state. It was a large flag and George wanted it ASAP. With the instructions that Pickersgill was given for the flag, she recruited some help. One of those helpers was Grace Wisher, and another unknown foundational Black American woman. At the age of 13, Grace began putting together what is known as the U.S. American flag. Mary Pickersgill has been given the praises of creating the U.S. flag, but if it wasn't for Grace and the unknown foundational Black American woman, the flag would have never been created. Black History Minute recognizes Grace Wisher along with the unknown foundational Black American woman who helped put together the United States American flag.
And there you have it. Let us know what you think about it. Were you hip to that? I know they always tell you the Betsy Ross thing, and they tell you a lot of fufu caca, but go research that fact. Let us know what you think and why. And I know that that's in nobody's history curriculum that I ever seen. These kids have to graduate learning American history, and they have to graduate learning U.S. world history. I mean, world history, global world history, and that's in no curriculum that I've ever seen. But I fact checked it; it's accurate, and we owe that sister a debt of gratitude. And yes, because of that, Beyonce can rock her red, white, and blue if she chooses to, because her sister helped put it down for her to make that possible. So you heard it here first. If you haven't heard that before, you heard it here first on the Real HD Show. Now we about to jump into some news clips that were going on, some local news that was popping off. We're gonna get back to the voting and all of that, and the deep secrets and the deep darks of it all, because we're gonna get to that. A lot going on with that I want to expose, especially Project 2025. That's very important. That has to do with Trump and some secret society stuff. So we'll get to that. But dead body found in Highland Park Reservoir in Rochester, New York. Water advisory in effect. A boil water advisory is in effect in some parts of the city of Rochester after a body was found in the reservoir at Highland Park. Police said the city of Rochester Water Bureau employees found the body of an unidentified adult male in the water around 8 a.m. Tuesday during a daily morning check of the reservoir. The body was recovered by a scuba team and then turned over to the Monroe County Examiner's Office to be identified. The death of cause of death undetermined. Police said that they were combing through security footage to find out how the body got into the reservoir. Now, if anybody knows Highland Park, I used to take my sons to work out there when they were training for football, when they went to college to play college ball. And that hill is super steep. It's almost like a mountain, and you got to, and where the reservoir is, you have to climb this steep hill. That's a super incline. And you get to the top of it, and that's where the reservoir is. And the reservoir is surrounded by gates. So for somebody to throw that body in the water without being seen on camera or recognized is beyond me. That would take a lot of effort. I'm not sure what time of night they would have to do it, but that just reminds me of something that's going on in Pittsburgh. The lack of police presence, right? Last show we did a expose on no more police, right? And how Pittsburgh crime is running rampant in Pittsburgh because the Pittsburgh police precinct is underfunded. They had to let a bunch of cops go, and between the hours of, I believe it's 1 and 7 or 2 and 6 or something like that, there's absolutely no police presence on the street. And the nighttime is when a lot of the folks who want to get down like that, that's when they do their dirt. And a lot of major cities are suffering from this very same lethargic, inept policing. Baltimore is suffering from it. Chicago is suffering from it. Parts of New York City are suffering from it. So, I find that interesting. Let us know, all my rock people, all my people up here in the rock. Let us know how you're dealing with it. There's a map that you can use, right? And you could determine what part of the city was affected by the water crisis, right? And there was a water main break. I think it was a water main break earlier, somewhere around the holidays, and that affected folks. And folks were getting like brown and yellow water coming into their faucets, and especially on the west side. The west side of Rochester. They always get the hard end of it. You know what I mean? And they got the hard end of it now. So it affected most of the west side. This boil water advisory, and it just speaks volumes to the lack of policing. Number one, and number two, it speaks volumes to the way that water treatment systems are happening all over the country. I mean, we heard about, Jackson, Mississippi going through a water crisis, Flint, Michigan going through a water crisis, parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin is going through water crisis, parts of Baltimore was going, man, like we got this political stuff coming up. We got these elections coming up, and ain't nobody talking about the water. Who's talking about the thing, the element or the compound that's vital to people living and existing, which is clean, available water. It's always the water that's being attacked. And then, of course, we got the inept police forces at bay. And if you ask my opinion, you know, provide the problem and then provide the solution. I'm talking about the macro authorities at will. They provide the problem or ramp up the problem and then provide the solution and overreaching over police state. There's another story out of Mississippi about inept cop activity. Mississippi ex-police officer pleads guilty after making man, and I believe he was said to be a melanated dude that had some mental health issues, lick urine off of a jail floor. Security footage in the police department showed that once the man was in a holding cell, he knocked on the cell door and tried to tell Green that he needed to urinate. After waiting for some time, the man went to the back of the cell and urinated the corner. Green took the man back into the cell and told him he's going to lick that up because, of course, in these police precincts, they are responsible for the equipment, the floors, the utilities that the people use, the behavior of the, arrested or detained before they go see a judge. And if this man had mental health issues, you could easily manipulate that man into doing what you want him to do. And then, of course, it led to that heinous scene of him licking urine off a jail floor. Yo, man, if you ain't talking about correcting some of these very, very vital things that we need in our society, just to be regular, just to be basic, just to be foundational, living in America, you ain't doing the right thing, man. You got your eyes on the wrong thing. And all this hype about Trump or Biden, and the issues are out there for us to be really sinking our teeth into. So let's get right into it, man. Power to the people news, man. Let me put that up. Power to the people news. What just happened? This just happened. Give me a second, people, and I'm going to put a video on that describes about the American voting system. I want us to kind of get into it and have a higher discussion. We could do it. You guys can use the ticker on the bottom, or you could put your comments on the screen, or you could put your whatever you got in the comments, and we can get after it. But let's check this out. We're going to talk about the Electoral College, and then we'll talk about gerrymandering and redistricting and how that affects Congress. Now, we're going to get to some real things that need to be looked at if we're considering being active in this next election and not just being zombies in it. You know what I'm saying? Let's check that out. Real HD Show. It's about 3 minutes. Here we go.
Let's talk about this map, this argument, and the Electoral College in general. In my Trouble with the Electoral College video from 2011, I was wrong to use the city limits for that part of the argument rather than the more expansive metro area. The lawyerish nerd inside of me still wants to argue technically correct on that one. I use the city boundaries because the metro areas are often vague and absurdly large. The New York metro area is 6,700 plus square miles over 4 states, and from where I partly grew up, it seemed that a lot of that area had nothing to do with New York City proper. So at the time, I disregarded the metro boundaries. But
Fair use, fair use. USC 107, USC 106, fair use, videos used for educational purposes only. Let's continue.
using the strict city boundaries in that video was the wrong decision in retrospect. In addition to being a bad argument to make, it also doesn't address the concerns this map express. And this is correct. Half the population does live in the gray counties. And more than that, the map gets at a fundamental division in the United States and other countries that leads partly to the politics we see, the difference between the rural and the urban. If trends continue, a higher and higher percentage of the country will live in urban areas. In another 8 or 16 years, this map will be even more extreme. The metro areas even denser, which, if you're in favor of the Electoral College, will seem like even more of a reason to keep it. Now, this is where we must discuss the idea that the Electoral College ensures the president is elected by the states. It doesn't. A candidate can win the Electoral College with just the 11 biggest states. This collection may seem unlikely, but as urbanization and the politics it creates continues, it becomes increasingly likely. The Electoral College doesn't ensure the president wins with a lot of states or even geographically diverse states. Now, should the president represent the people or should the president represent the states is a question without an answer. This is about preference in style of governance. One moves power up to the federal level and the other moves power down to the states. And given the vastness of the country and the difference in her geographies, it's reasonable to believe that states with greater power is the better, less divisive solution to the problem of governance. But the Electoral College does nothing to help that. It happens to be that recent wins have been geographically spread, but the Electoral College doesn't ensure that outcome. Cram everyone into California, leaving one person in each state, and the Electoral College says California alone, she decides. We could have a system where the president must win a majority of the states, which is what some think the Electoral College is, but it isn't. The election only happens to make it look that way. The protection of the Electoral College is only an illusion. Even if you still like the Electoral College, though it doesn't actually protect the small states, the Electoral College still comes with the most bitter of anti-republic pills. For even if you win the election in November, your victory can be taken away from you in December. The Electoral College votes your state gets aren't really votes, but are individual members of the political parties who perform the real vote for president in December. No citizen voted for these electors to cast a vote on their behalf, and many of the electors are free to vote for whoever they want. Their election in December is the real election. The Electoral College was designed to be able to overwrite the will of the people or its own election process anytime enough of a small number of unknown, unelected political party insiders don't like the result they got. If you're in favor of the Electoral College, you have to accept that by its own rules, it can take away your victory under the guise of protecting you from yourself. This has never happened in American history, nor should it, but it is crazy to leave in place for future elections a system that benefits no citizens and protects no states. It's time to get rid of the Electoral College and have a real discussion about what a modern government and election system should look like.
All right. You heard it here first on the Real HD show. What do you think? Is it time to get rid of the Electoral College? Does it serve us? And what about if there is, you put your heart and soul, you want to elect Obama or you want to elect whoever you want to elect, and you campaign and you stomp the grounds and you do the advocacy work and you work the middle and you You work the ends and the fringes and you get everybody riled up, and then the electoral college doesn't have any individual loyalty to the people that win the support the popular vote. So you can have your popular vote and win it in a state where you're from. That doesn't mean that the electors of that state are going to side with you. They're supposed to in custom, but they're not bound to do it. Not by law. They're not bound by law to actually vote and decide on the president based on those parameters. They can decide on it based on what they want to do. And how about the people have no authority on who are the electors? How are they chosen? Who chooses them? When do they change? How many are there? And I know they're supposed to be based on state population and things like that. So now let's get into this gerrymandering video, which speaks more to Congress and speaks more to how those things are decided. And those are the real power wielders in the United States landscape. Let's get to it. And then we'll talk about something really unique afterwards. Or we could just have a discussion. If you want to jump in, I'm taking people live. If you want to jump in,
Rakic. I cover
discuss
elections
it.
for 538, and I'm here to talk to you today about gerrymandering. The process of drawing new congressional districts for the 2022 elections is almost complete, and the new maps are both super gerrymandered and closely divided between Democrats.
Now, this is not a recent video. This is a video of some time ago, but it describes the process in detail of how you can redistrict, you can draw lines and create representatives for Congress and seats for Congress, and they do this almost every election cycle to gain favor, either Republican or Democrat. So let's check this out.
And Republicans. Democrats really cranked up their gerrymandering efforts this year to match Republicans. And their new maps in states like New York and Illinois are canceling out Republican gerrymanders in states like Texas and Ohio. That means Republicans are on track to lose the structural advantage that gerrymandering has historically given them in the House of Representatives. We are projecting that the House will only have about a 1 or 2 point bias toward Republicans in 2022. In the last few elections, it's been closer to a 5 or 6 point bias, meaning Democrats had to win the popular vote by several percentage points in order to have a shot at the House majority. But the fact that individual states are still so gerrymandered means that in most parts of the country, your vote will matter less than ever. We're also projecting that only 8 to 10% of House seats will be true swing seats this year, and the number of solidly red and blue districts will reach its highest point in at least 26 years. What's more, these maps could do a lot more to give more representation to people of color. Texas's Hispanic population grew by 2 million in the last census, but the state didn't draw any new predominantly Hispanic districts. And several southern states, like Alabama and Louisiana, could have drawn additional predominantly black seats, but chose not to. A lot of these maps are currently being challenged in court, but don't count on them getting overturned. And even if they are, it probably won't happen before the midterms.
So you see right there the fundamental problems with government. You can get a surplus of representative or lack thereof based on gerrymandering, how districts are structured, rigged. Now we know that in terms of redlining, they redistrict all the time. So that all determines who could buy homes, who can't buy homes. And I think they also use that map in terms of gerrymandering. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very interesting how all this stuff plays a part in how politics as it is now plays itself out. And then we didn't even begin to talk about the Senate and congressional soft seats, and how ineffective that becomes. Because then you keep people in seats where you can be electing new senators to be more effective than old ones, but they can stay there as long as they get reelected. They can stay there for the duration of I believe it's their life, if they just keep getting reelected. When it's wild, man. So, what do y'all think, man? Are we as a people ready to tackle these voting electoral issues so that if voting is something that we should be doing, it's fair and equitable for everybody, or are we going to have the ostrich technique, put our head in the sand, get involved with the sensationalism, the hype of the Biden Trump thing, and do that? Which one are we gonna do? Which way are we gonna go with this? Um, I have you know, some macro stuff I want to talk to you about, some global stuff that I want to talk to you about in terms of voting. I want to know what you guys think. Are you prepared to vote based on what's necessary and what we need? Are you prepared to vote because you on the hype train? Some people call this expressive voting, and then others have a way of voting called mandated voting. And these are just methodologies that people use in their mind as for ways and rationales that they can get into the electoral system and exercise their quote unquote power as a taxpayer. So, which one are you for? What are you going to do? Are you an expressive voter or are you a mandated voter? Also, are you about changing the election system so that it's fair and equitable for everybody? Or you're gonna dance the WAP when the election is won. What you gonna do? What you about? Because I just recently read a couple of things where Kamala Harris got Fat Joe in the White House trying to convince black folk and melanated folk to get back on the Democrat train who are moving elsewhere. And then they also got some TikTok stars, TikTok influencers, and some YouTube influencers, and they're paying these people to persuade people to vote Democrat or Republican. Trump had the Trump sneakers. They think you fools, man. They think you dum-dums. They think you, maybe they do. Maybe they think you not politically savvy enough to see through all of that. Let us know. Put it in the comments. Are you politically savvy enough? Or you bring your booty to the pole, that whole Minnesota, Detroit stripper thing where they had strippers trying to convince people to vote. Are you that easily swayed? Are you that easily entertained where you can't see real issues that have to be solved and real things that have to be done for our society or within the electorate so that your hard-earned money and your hard-earned, your sweat equity, what it's called, goes toward purposeful things. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get deep into it. We're gonna drop some stuff, but I want you guys to look at a video. We're gonna get into some Biden stuff right now, right? Because everybody's on the Trump train, right? And then I know what happens when everybody's on the Trump train. You're gonna get people on the Biden train trying to guilt you into voting or guilt you to being on the side of the Democrats, right? So let's check this video out. It's a little sensational, but it makes good points. Check this out, Real HD Show. Let's see what we got going here. All right, here we go. Let's rock out to that. I know I'm throwing a lot at you.
Plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
Shout out to West Lensman. Interesting video. Go check out their channel and see if that's something that you would get yourself involved in. What do you think of the points that they made? Above all, some of the things that they're doing to the Democrats are doing by allowing all the immigrants into the country, changing the landscape. Now, I'm not saying it's supposed to be that sensational, but some of the stuff is reaching epic proportions, especially in places like Chicago and New York, where the population, I was just in New York. I don't live in New York. I was born and raised, but I don't live in New York anymore. I live in Rochester, which is upstate. I don't live in the city anymore. And I went down to the city to visit some family, and I looked on the wall, and it had to be like 200 people waiting outside of Home Depot. Now, there's always been a little bit of stragglers, a little couple of undocumented waiting for folks to pick folks up in Long Island and places like that outside of Home Depot and different little spots where you could do some contract work, get paid for the day and do your thing. But it was never 200 people, And then at night, when the guys go in, the women come out and they're out there slanging it. You know what I mean? Coffee dates, you know. The cost of poom poom is real low right now. Poom poom deflation is out of control right now because you can get it for a wing and a prayer. You know what I'm saying? Um, and how does that affect what's going on with me and you? Like, I got young sons. I don't want my young sons mixed up with folks that are coming over here and they slanging poom poom. You know what I'm saying? But they young men, and young men do what young men do. You know what I'm saying? This is all what's going on. And I'm not placing fault, I'm not placing blame. What I'm saying is we could find a better way to manage it. And stuff like this should be on voting dockets right now for folks to vote on and decide on how we're going to deal with this immigration problem. Because it's a whole problem. But don't fret. We got the Republican side coming. Because we ain't just going to smack Democrats around and complain about what they do. We're going to get all over them Republicans in 1 second. We got comments. Let's go. Coming into Rochester by the busloads. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I know in those buses, they got the Homeland Security people in the green, and they walk around and they talk to you, and they make sure, especially if you melanated, they make sure you speak proper English, maybe ask you for an ID or two, some simple stuff. And if you can't produce it, they ask you who you are, where you from. I don't know if that's going on anymore. They used to go on, because sometimes I'll shoot down to New York real quick on a little $50 bus, little $40 bus, little China bus, and shoot back up, see my sister, whatever, and see my homies. We got to get up, Sev. I don't know if you're still on, but maybe I'll shoot down and we can go to City Island or something. But what do you think of that video? Do you think it's that chaotic in certain areas? Do you think it's that sensational? Are we making too much of it? Should we be more inclusive? Is this like, the classic immigration period, like it was in the 1920s, done all over again? And we're just being too, kind of, we're having a lot of anxiety over new folks and new people coming into the country, like the way that the Caribbeans, there was a massive Caribbean immigration in the 60s, early 70s, and that kind of subsided, and folks got acculturated, and second and third generation Caribbean folks from Jamaica and Trinidad are now a part of the Black community, lock, stock, and barrel. Not without problems, but it's there. Or do we need to make this a congressional issue? Should we make this a congressional voting issue? Should we third party it up to make these things issues? Let us know, man. Put it in the chat. Let us know where you at. Real HD Show. What do you think about the gerrymandering and how the redistricting of sorts determines how Congress and representatives are selected? I remember Sheila Jackson Lee, and I remember it was a couple of senators from, it was a couple of Congress people from down south that were, you know, senior senators, but because of redistricting, they were about to lose their seat because of the redistricting. Now it didn't happen, but it was about to happen. And I believe it was in Texas at the time. I think, because I think she's a representative of Texas. Y'all could correct me. Correct me if Sheila Jackson Lee, um, or Sheila Lee Jackson, whatever, however her last name goes, the senator, where she's from and all of that. And I know it was another one, it was another senior Black Caucus representative that was at risk of losing their seat in Congress, um, because of redistricting. And of course, Republicans are always trying to make it majority Republican, Democrats are always trying to make it majority Democrat, so on and so forth. But back to the video. So the video showed all of these like sensational dangers of what mass immigration can do. And I don't know if anybody knows, but Biden assisted in flying, I don't know if it was thousands, but it was at least hundreds of undocumented people into the country that was supposed to be going overseas. Mexico said they didn't want those people anymore. Were they Venezuelans? I'm not sure if they was Mexico or Venezuelans, but either way, they were undocumented, and they were flown right back here. And of course, they had to give them shelter and food and all of the things that go along with it. And hundreds of them, maybe even thousands, and they came in like by night. And now here's a headline for you guys, right? Where's my Tyson food joint? I don't know if y'all paying attention to the way that companies are handling these things, but here it is. Tyson Foods is boycotted as it fires 1,300 people in Iowa pork plant and offers jobs in a bid to hire 42,000 asylum seekers in New York. Tyson Food is closing plants in Iowa, Virginia, Arkansas, Indiana, and Missouri. The company says it wants to double its immigration hire to 84,000 this year. Angry shoppers are boycotting Tyson Foods because food products, as the 53 million meat firm, shutter plants in Iowa and elsewhere while hiring thousands of asylum seekers at job fairs in New York. So in other words, they gutted companies, and now they're at the point where they're rehiring. And of course, they're not going to rehire these people at the same wage level that they let the people go from. So those 1,300 jobs that were feeding families and were salary based living wages are now going to be split. They're going to be, you know, they're going to be budgeted, lined up, right, on spreadsheets and offered to 42,000. So I'm they're up by almost 300% in their staffing if they're giving it to asylum seekers in New York versus the people that they had in Iowa, Virginia, Arkansas, Indiana, and Missouri. Not to mention how the factory industry in America is already gutted and unions are gutted. We got some comments. Let's see what we were talking about. More black people have more things to worry about, in my opinion. Immigration are not the problem. Republicans are destroying affirmative action, Black history, DEI, diversity. Use your third eye. Yeah, I mean, we got some stuff. Actually, let me play that real quick. There's a clip of how these folks are trying to change the whole Constitution. Because I told you we all get on the Republican side of things. We're not just going to bang around Democrats all night long. We gonna get on the Republican side of things. And I know based on whatever your purview is, um, whatever your viewpoint is, it's kind of where you're gonna stand on what you're hearing and on what you're not hearing. You know, you're gonna love some things and hate some other things. So I gotta find this video. Just give me 1 second, my peoples. Give me 1 second. It shouldn't take that long. Let me just run through some older folders that I have and see if I could come up with this video that talks about how some powers that be in these different parties want to um, usurp what is supposed to be their guiding document, the Constitution. Um, let's see, where are we at? That's not it. All right, give me 1 second, folks. Give me 1 second, family. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Because I was gonna play it during one of my shows. I just didn't have a chance to get to it. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Check this
Change
out.
about the Constitution.
They want to radically transform it. The leader of this effort, a man named Mark Meckler, formerly head of Tea Party Patriots, now head of the Convention of States efforts, has said that they seek to roll back 115 years of progressivism. And if the Republicans manage to get hold of Congress, and Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House, he's a deep supporter. He unites both those wings of the Republican Party, the fossil fuel billionaires with the theocrats, and he will, I believe, and so does Common Cause and others who study this, convene such a convention to undermine the fiscal basis of Social Security and Medicare, to undermine long established civil rights protections, to take away our capacity to protect the environment. So it could not be more serious. And it's something that needs much more attention from all of us.
Yeah, man. So that's just the tip of the iceberg with that. What do y'all think of that? Let us know. I think that's important. That goes to, the unalienable rights that we're supposed to have, that are supposed to be guaranteed through the Constitution. And now, of course, with Ron DeSantis of it all, a lot of these southern states of it all, these things are vastly becoming open season on these particular documents and these particular rights that are supposed to be guaranteed. Interesting though. What's interesting though is the fact that if you're replacing is that the great replacement? What I was just talking to you guys about, Tyson Food, one of the largest food manufacturers and employers of jobs that are related to food and manufacturing in the country. So a lot of people talk about great replacement in terms of white people not being able to birth babies, but they never talked about how that might affect folks in terms of gainful employment. So now you see that these things are things to consider, items definitely to consider. Let's jump into, because it's after, what time is it? It is after, it's 9:19. We may go to 9:30. I appreciate everybody that's rocking with us. We got a lot of people on. We got people on Twitch. We got people on Twitter. We got people on Instagram. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show, and let us know what you think. Turn on your comments, and rock out with us on the Real HD Show. Let us know what parts of the show did you like. Did you like the Afro Mexicans joint? Did you like the Grace Wisher segment? Did you like the Riza Islam segment about mental health? Which ones did you like? Did you like any of the stories that we talked about in terms of, or any of the videos about voting and the things to consider, the changes that need to be made? And we're going to get into, because a lot of it is a power hustle. That's what we're really getting into. Because there's a global hegemony happening, with BRICS and WEF. They're kind of banging heads over the future of the dollar and what's that going to mean. They're trying to introduce the CBDC that's going to affect people's pockets, how people spend money, how people move money and how things are economically done within, the boundaries of what are supposed to be sovereign countries. And now, when you move it back to this country, you have a national thing going. You have a national problem happening. You have your globalists and your Democrats, and then you have your nativists and your Republicans, and they got some shit with them. They got some things happening with them that need to be talked about. One of the things that these nativists, Republicans, conservatives got going on is I'm gonna play a clip. Oh, hold on, we got a comment. I like the education regarding the economic control of the United States of America. Yeah, because you got factions all vying for power. I know Texas introduced, or they want to introduce, their own version of the CBDC that's backed by gold. And Fed now wants, which is the federal government or the Treasury Department, they want to introduce their version of the CBDC. And if anybody is a Bank of America customer, you got that little notice in your account that the Bank of America and Wells Fargo and all those other chains will be switching to the digital dollar in a couple of months. We did that a couple shows ago. So, as global hegemony is being fought for, we have to decide where we stand on this as a people. Where are we at on all these things? Are we just sensational about it? Are we just, bring booties to the polls? Are we just wearing Trump sneakers? Are we Fat Joe in the White House trying to rap our way back into power? What are we doing? What are we responding to? You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm on some break the wheel stuff, because it been time for some changes. It been time for some social equity, but in the way that things are structured, not just running around talking, screaming, clowning, being on revolt and being uninformed, but really putting muscle and equity into the changes that you want to see. You know what I mean? So I got a little video I want you guys to check out. And it's some really interesting things happening within the Republican Party, because a lot of Democrats want to run over to the Republican side like that's some sort of safe haven or some sort of answer to what ails us. And I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm here to tell you it totally is not. There's a couple of videos I want to show you, but the first one is this one about Project 2025. And I'm trying to figure out if I want to play this one or this one. Yeah, I'll play this one here. That was yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So give me a second. Let me run into it. It won't take long. Give me like 5 seconds. I'll pop it on. And then we can have a higher discussion about it. We might have to do a part 3 of this on Monday, because there's a lot to get to and a lot to express. And I want to make sure that this stuff gets its proper time. Let's see where we at. Boom. Come on. Boom. Boom. We heard about Barkley. We heard about Beyonce. Nutties. All right, here we go. I'm going to let it play for about maybe 4 minutes, and then we could jump back into it.
Currently a secret men's only right-wing society that has one goal for America: to turn it into the Christian nation they think it should have always been. It's effectively regime change. It's a change of form of government, and there's a variety of different ways that they're working on it, but one is national divorce, which I think is ironic because all of these men think that there shouldn't be a right to divorce because they know that their women in their life are likely to try to flee at some point. Yes. But anyway, they're moving forward. This is the Society for American Civic Renewal. Apparently, members of the group call it the Sackers. Think about that and all the implications of it. But anyway, it is open to new recruits. So if you're looking for a social group, but there are some requirements. You have to be male. You have to be a Trinitarian Christian, heterosexual, an unhyphenated American, and can answer questions about Trump, the GOP, and Christian nationalism in the right way. One chapter leader wrote to a prospective member that the group aimed to secure a future for Christian families. So, like, if you're asked about, should America be a Christian nation, you have to say yes. Does Donald Trump have six-pack abs? You have to say yes, obviously. And you have to be unhyphenated, because the hyphenated Americans have too many things other than American that they stress rather than just American. Not these guys, except that they stress their white nation of origin, the fact that they're Christians, the particular sect of Christianity that they're a part of, but they're not into identity politics or anything. They just have a long line of identities that you have to match up for, or you literally can't join their group. There's a lot of irony in this whole thing. Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait. Click join now on YouTube. Anyway, Talking Points Memo has done a great report on this. You should definitely look at that. But they talk about how the members of this group are pretty influential. You've got the president of the Claremont Institute, Harvard law grads, leading businessmen in communities scattered across America. They're wealthy. Independent wealth is actually a requirement for membership. So also, you conservative pores, don't even think about it. Never forget for a second that they hate you. Anyway, members must be able to either contribute, influence, capability, or wealth. And again, in addition to the conservative pores thing, I want to remind you, the Republican Party is anti-elite. They just have a group of secretive elites that are all wealthy and influential that want to remake America in their own image. So anyway, we have more, Francesca, but what do you make of this?
I mean, that's the most egregious lie of all, right? The idea, I mean, and I think John Oliver did that segment about the Supreme Court talking about Clarence Thomas, like, oh, the elites win. Bro, you are bought by elites. You go on elite vacations with your elites all the time.
Yeah, man. So now we talking the elite stuff that he deals with is that whole Bohemian Grove stuff and all of that, what all of that amounts to, right? And we can get into that, but not tonight. Here is some interesting things in terms of that. I'm trying to be very concise. Trump Project 25. What it is and what it could mean if Trump wins in office. Check this out. And it has to do with that last video that we just saw.
Will actually do if he gets back into office, you don't have to speculate because he calls his plan Agenda 47. And spoiler alert, it's scary as shit. Here's some of the worst ideas we're in store for if he wins in November. 1. Attacking immigration. Trump's anti-immigration policies will be even worse the second time around. He's promised to end birthright citizenship, enlist an army to round up and deport millions of undocumented immigrants, and deploy thousands of US troops to the southern border. 2. Criminalizing LGBTQIA plus Americans. Trump says he'll ban gender-affirming care for trans kids and prevent schools from helping kids through their transition. He wants to forbid schools from even teaching anything about sex and gender that diverges from the far right's idea of the nuclear family. 3. Overhauling education. Agenda 47 includes huge changes to the education system. He wants to give huge benefits for homeschooling to indoctrinate kids with Christian nationalism, incentivize teachers to carry guns in their classrooms, further crack down on affirmative action, and destroy crucial DEI departments at colleges and universities. 4. Restoring racist crime policies. Criminal legal system reform will be off the table if Trump becomes president. He promised to bring back racist policies like stop and frisk and other ineffective and discriminatory tough-on-crime tactics that have failed in the past. He also wants to increase protections for power-abusing police while rolling back hard-fought-for reforms and institute the death penalty for low-level crimes like drug dealing. 5. Weaponizing the government. The scariest part might be Trump's threat to more or less dismantle the federal government. If he gets back in office, he's going to purge anyone who could possibly stand up to him and replace them with MAGA loyalists like Stephen Miller. He's going to prosecute his political enemies using traditional.
All right, I don't want to keep playing that. We're running out of time. I just wanted you guys to see that. And what's interesting about the Claremont Institute and how it is going to help Agenda 2047 or 2025, depending on how you want to flip it, is the dude that runs the Claremont Institute is part of Trump's super PAC. So those same people that you heard about want that men's only Christian winged secret society, whatever crap they were talking about. they are the ones that are backing and giving millions of dollars. I believe the gentleman's name is Klein Kleinberger. Hold on. Let me see if I can grab this up real quick. Kleinberger or something like that. And him, along with the Claremont Institute, have already given him 11 million toward his reelection campaign. Now, this is people who want a white only Republican, white only, men's only Republican wing that Trump is supposed to, like, you know, champion, hero. He's the Charlemagne of it all, bringing, making America great again in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Um, and they're a super PAC, and he's happily accepting the money, and he knows what they're all about, what they do and what they don't do. And there it is in a nutshell. Inside a secret society of prominent right wing Christian men prepping for a national divorce. Now, I know that we've all heard the ruminations and the whispers of this for a while now. Marjorie Taylor Greene throws this stuff out there, dog whistles this stuff. You'll hear all kinds of Republicans throwing this stuff around. National divorce, national divorce. What you didn't hear is that they want to make a Christian secret society. Now, there have been secret societies that were Christian. That's nothing new, but they haven't made themselves like national, and they haven't made themselves a part of the media discourse since the Knights of Templar. So why now? And does that tie into the CBDC of it all in Texas? Does that tie into a lot of aims and objectives that the Republican Party have for trying to get this dude reelected? These are things we got to think about, things we got to talk about. This dude wants to reinstitute stop and frisk, even though it was made and rendered unconstitutional. He, by some method, wants to bring this back. Yeah, that's why I'm showing the people what this dude is up to, man. This is how his bread is buttered, from this group. This group is a major donor to his election campaign. And don't think they don't have sway. Don't think they don't have clout. Don't think they don't have the ability to move the needle, because they do. And of course, what's the old saying? Let me put this up, because I don't think we'll have time to get into the admiralty law and the maritime law of it all. We'll have to wait till Monday to do that, because it's already 9:30. But I just want to show you guys a couple of things about it that I dug up in my bearings. So just like the Claremont Institute is a corporation of sorts donating to Trump, and of course, you got the visas and the credit card people, and Biden is getting his too. They all getting his. The corporations don't have to lobby the government anymore. They are the government. And that's Jim Hightower. That's not me. I think he's spot on. Prove me wrong. They take the money. They got to do what these people want them to do. And it goes a lot deeper than that. And I'll show you guys. We're going to get into some of the pacts that were made after World War II. We're going to get into some of the UN treaties that were signed right about that time. We're going to get into the Balfour Agreement. We're going to get into a lot of that on Monday. So this will definitely be a part 3. What are some of the things you can look forward to? We're going to talk about legal fictions in terms of voting, right? Right? We're going, and the wills, willful intent, right? We're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about civilitiae mortis, right? which means to be a legal fiction or dead in the eyes of the law. We're going to get into that. And we're also going to get into a couple of articles that exist within the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. We will get into Article 21.3, and we'll get into Article 8, I believe it is, which talks about how the macro governments or the globalists deem our constitution. Do they adhere to it? Do they think it's a living, thriving document? George Bush didn't seem to think so. Right? George Bush, old president. Remember him, Junior? That clown? Stop throwing the Constitution in my face. It's just a damn piece of paper. And then you heard the woman with Joy Reid going on and on and on about how they're trying to change the Constitution. And then, of course, Article 8 we'll discuss and how that affects voting. And then we'll discuss 21.3, which is the article of the wills and how that is civilir mortis and how that is a legal fiction according to how you vote, when you vote, and what's going on with voting. So join us next time when we discuss all of these things on Monday, because we could easily go to 11 o'clock doing this, but I got to do some stuff with my daughter. So I got to shut it down for now. I hope you guys got a glimpse of where I'm going with this. I wanted to present an objective of both sides and some of the sensationalism that's driving people during this period of getting people out and voting. And then we'll get into the admiralty law and maritime law of it all and what it means from a globalist perspective and how that affects us. Yeah, man. Absolutely, brother. You too, bro. Stay safe, man. Take care of them kids. I'll take care of mine up here. Let's educate the people. Let's educate the babies. I'm going to say peace. Walk with power. Y'all get back. Love on each other. Get back here Monday so we can finish up our business and be more fortified to move forward. All right, y'all. Peace. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everybody. We heavy on Mob Crush. We got about 300. That's dope. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show. Share the show so that people could get an idea of what we do, how we get down, how we move, and get down. And then turn on your notifications so that every time the Real HD show comes on, you will be notified and you could jump on. The other thing about it is this, right? There's a lot of shadow banning going on. So the best way to catch my show is to catch it live. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to hold the truth back. I'm going to give it to you raw. I'm going to give it to you direct. But the shadow banning is real. They don't promote the videos the way they should be promoted. You know, they might want to promote like a cat video instead of promoting this. Or they might want to promote a video about somebody twerking instead of promoting this. There's a lot of things that get a lot of love outside of the things that are really just important for discourse, growth, and development. So what I do notice, though, is when you mob a video and you hit the YouTube algorithm or you hit the Twitch algorithm or whatever website it's on, Twitter, they push those because they believe you have the audience to carry that conversation. They won't bury it at that point. But if you have a low audience or you have a burgeoning audience, they'll play around with your views. They'll play around with your ability to be seen. Please like, share, and subscribe. Watch the show. Peace. We are out. Take care of each other. See you next.